in zijn armen. Overdekt door water verloor ik de hoop. Bij de geliefde Jezus weende ik uit nood. Toen hij mij zag, werd hij genadig. Toen hij mij zag, werd hij genadig. Hij stak zijn arm uit en droogde al mijn tranen. Hij stak zijn arm uit en droogde al mijn tranen. Toen Jezus mij zag, kwam hij vlug nabij. In mijn angst en duister verlichtte hij mij. Toen ik hem zag, vroeg ik erbarmen. Toen ik hem zag, vroeg ik erbarmen. Mijn Heer kwam mij redden, nam mij in zijn armen. Mijn Heer kwam mij redden, nam mij in zijn armen.
Well, good evening, everyone. About 4 years ago, in 2019, me and my then fiancée, now wife, we went to the United States, just on a vacation trip. But my then fiancée said to me, well, it would be good for us to take a pre-marriage course, and I know a man from the United States who will help us. So that's what we went to do. We went to meet Dr. Magdy Ibrahim. He is a pastoral health counselor, and he is an expert in marriage advice and parenting advice, and relationship advice. And we're very grateful that this week he has come to the Netherlands for a vacation, but he was also willing to give a talk here and to instruct us. So welcome, Dr. Magdy Ibrahim. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I really am very, very pleased to meet you all. And it's one of the blessings that we thank God for it. And of course, we also thank Bishop Arsani for all his hospitality, Bishop Abuna Pavlos for coordination, Mariana and Martin for all this being behind the scene, brought me here back to Holland. I've been here several years ago. Before we start, very quickly about the song that you just sang, which is very, very famous in Arabic, of course. And I was sharing with Sayyidna and Abuna that earlier this year I was in very bad medical condition. I spent like 8 days in the ICU. And the ICU is the intensive care unit. At the end of it, I started hearing God saying, I see you. I see you. I am able to see you. You are not forgotten. And these are the words that when we think that he is not with us anymore, he's there and able to see us. Thank you again for this opportunity. And like as I said, a great pleasure and great, would I use this one? Very quickly, I have two presentations to go through it. I don't want to waste your time. and we will have chance for questions and answers. My understanding that some of you are already newly married. Raise hands if you are newly already married or engaged. Anybody engaged already officially or formally? Or maybe thinking about it. Thinking about it. Okay, which is great. We have another story about that. So I do teach the courses for pre-marriage in our area, in Washington, D.C. area, which includes part of Virginia, Maryland. However, sometimes you'll find the young lady in Virginia, but her husband or future husband is in Australia, for example, or the Netherlands. So we get people from all over the world coming to the ministry. But I felt like when we meet people who are already engaged or getting married very soon, that's too late. I started another course for those how to select your soulmate. What is the psychology of selection? Why we choose certain people, based on what? And we started like to do it earlier for people in college or maybe hopefully high school. Very quickly, Marsh Family Ministry. I started the family ministry in St. Mark of Washington, D.C. Then I was encouraged to start on my own nonprofit organization. We called it Marsh Family Ministry. Marsh, the month that we started in it. And also as a verb in English, to march for your family and to do the effort for your family. I'm not going to waste much of your time, but this is our mission statement: to empower individuals to succeed in family life through the diffusion of knowledge. Whatever little knowledge we have, we try to share it, and hopefully will let people understand maybe more. We had long-term goals and short-term goals. I had to meet with the bishop who are representing the Pope, the papal representative, to get it approved. And now we have Bishop Peter, and before him, Bishop Angelos was the papal representative. I am going to skip some of these things. Just why? Because this is our presentation that we do it. We do have parenting aspects of our ministry. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It just flips fast. I'm going backwards, sorry. So some of the contacts are here, and I will try to go slower. We have the website. You can follow up on some of the things that we publish and what is the events and the coming events. We have a Facebook page that we've started. I'm coming to this section, which I would like to share with you. For this presentation, we share assessment online. We send and register people to answer questions, and the questions coming answered separately. He and she will answer the questions separately. And then the computer will try to study the compatibility between them. How do they do that? And what we receive are two reports. One is for the facilitator, which is us, illegal for us to give it away. And one is the couple report, which we give it to every couple. So that's became part, because when we've met with the bishop and the priest, they said you can give them as much lectures as they want. As soon as they leave, they will forget everything you said. So we need time with every couple individually. And that was the answer. We go through the assessment. We sit with every couple 2 hours at least in order to give them feedback and do some exercises with them. What do we study? And that's part of what, I'm not sure if it has pointer. They have 10 core scales in the middle, the oval shape. 10 core scales, when the people answer the question, they will tell us how much they agree with each other about these 10 core scales. Then also we study the relationship dynamics between him and her only. These are very individual, very unique. They are not applying to the mass. Like I cannot teach you all here what will be the dynamics. It has to be with every couple. And how do they measure it? Then we study the relationship or mapping the relationship about how they feel about the relationship between the two of them, not about the person. And then they will study how they feel about the relationship with their family of origin, mom, dad, and sibling. Why? Because mom and dad and sibling left their fingerprints on us. Don't tell me, oh, but they are in Egypt. They already left their fingerprints on him and on her. And the child establish his personality at age what? What age do you think that child become fully aware of his personality, developed? Age 5. 5 years old, before school, he or she already developed their personality. Where did they get it from? Mom and dad, and maybe sibling. So they study that, and then we go to what they call it scope, which is personality typology. How many people heard about Myers-Briggs typology? That's maybe a small version of it. And the beauty of it, that it puts the people together, him and her, on every scale. So that's the overall of the system that we use. I register them. It can be modified based on the background. And these are, maybe we call it the 10 core scales. What are the 10 core scales? Communications and the conflict resolution, partner style and habits, and financial management. Are we good with money or not? Also, leisure activity. If I ask you, first question, what is the difference between communication and conflict resolution? What would you say? Any opinion? What is the difference between communication and conflict resolution? Communication, we can be talking about where are we going out for tonight. We can talk about what I like to do with this couple. Things that we communicate and transfer thoughts. But what if we talk about this for weeks, months, or years and never reach an agreement? It's raised to conflict that we have to have systematic ways to solve it. It cannot be just discussed or left. I have a couple came after 21 years with a 20-year-old boy for the same issue that had started when they were young couples. After 20 years and they did not resolve the problem, it became a conflict that they couldn't solve at this age. So those are some of the, what is the leisure activity? Is what we both like to do together or separated. So that's a scale important for us because there is a big theory in counseling called the attachment theory. What is the attachment theory? They tested children, how they are attached to their parents. And they said basically that adults, when they get married or they select a soulmate, they will demand the same attachment that was modeled for them, that they had with mom and dad, from the partner. And of course, if the mom and dad were very distant, they never hugged me, they never loved me, they never kissed me, or they are military style, I said so you have to do it, all of that will get me some level of attachment. If my partner grew up in a very attached family, they will demand something that will look weird for me. It will look different. And I had another story very quickly. The lady was American, her husband was Egyptian. She was teaching the course for the marriage with me in Florida. And he said, come and sit next to me. So I went and I sat next to him on the same couch. He said, no, 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 come and sit next to me. She said, what more next to you? Like I'm in the same couch. For her, the attachment was looked different. He wants her to sit really next to him, maybe his arms are over her, and sitting really adjacent to each other. For her, that looked weird. It's enough for us that we are sitting physically on the same bench or the same couch. So that's one of the things that I say, if we have more of the leisure activity, the things that we do together, that increases our attachment. And it helps with our communication. And it helps with our conflict resolution. What else? Sexual expectation. And what is our view? Are we able to talk freely about it or not? What did we learn about it? Frankly, I get cases where they even getting married in 2-3 weeks and they have no idea what happens with the sexuality, for example. Our comfort level to talk freely within the perimeter of our religion, we are not saying to go out of that, but that's an indication of certain level of comfort. When we teach the course, we have one whole, at least an hour about sexuality. Then family and friends, do they approve? Do they like you together or not? Because if they don't like you together, or they have opinion, very strong opinion against her or against him, that will affect your relationship together also. Finally, the character traits and the spiritual belief. All of these are measures, like for example, this couple here, they have 100% in spirituality. It means that both couples agreed on the answers of the question of this category by 100%. What if they are like 20% in partner style and habits? It means there is 80% of disagreement. But they have 3 categories they can go in it. Disagreement or indecision, if the questions answers are very close, or special focus, like the question is formatted positive and both they say we never do that, or the question is formatted negative and they say we do that all the time. So they are telling me as a counselor that they have a certain area that they need to have a special focus. We stop and talk about it. I keep saying 10 core skills. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th is a hidden scale. They call it idealistic distortion. Are we thinking that we are Romeo and Juliet and will live happily ever after? Are we very idealistic? Or we are realistic? And if the computer sense that you are idealistic, not aware of what will happen in few months or few weeks, they will score all your answers in the all 9 categories. That's how complicated this thing is. So that's one aspect. What else? By the way, this is our real couples. You see how they vary in their acceptance, but this is a real couples. They disagree on almost everything. This couple were in their 60s and coming for me to help with divorce at age 60. After all these years, they lived together. You study these people and you come very quickly to conclusion why they are suffering at that age. He escaped his family when he was 12. If he sees his dad, he will kill his dad. And she was adopted. When she finally found her mother, biological mother, the mother wanted to mess her up completely. So their background, before even they meet each other, was a lot of suffering and a lot of really turmoil. So how would you deal with this couple? Or this couple, they are scoring high, whether they are really in love and they are really in good relationship, or have no idea what is coming next. So, but these are the core skills. They give you in diagrammatic or in tabulation shape. We study the idealistic distortion that I said about it, and we see who's idealistic and who's not. We study also the personal stress level. I'm not sure if you, I ask the same question to every couple. We are in love, we are getting married with the blessing of the church. We are not going to court, we are not in a fight. Why do we care about the stress level? Why do you think they study stress level between engaged or married couple? Because stress is a very contagious virus. If one of us comes stressed from work to the house, the other person will pick it very quickly, and we will end up with two people stressed in the household. Also, it will prevent you from smelling the roses. I will not appreciate what my other partner is doing for me. She might have prepared fantastic dinner, or he, if he cooks well, he might have fantastic dinner with candlelight and the music, and the person who's stressed will come and say, no, I'm going home, I'm going to bed. What happened with what I'm doing? I cannot appreciate it because I'm very stressed today. I cannot handle that. The stress level, I take it very seriously. These couple here are very unstressed, 10%. But if you see at these people, 95 and 90, this couple here, I know them before they got married. I served with him. And after 17 years, 3 kids, he called me, and I went through the program with them. And the second call, he started saying she's having suicidal ideation. And she was called by her 12 years old daughter. Mom is searching online how to kill herself. So for stress, when it comes to stress, becomes a real an issue for us. We have to study it very carefully. Relationship dynamics, how do they measure that? I am saying all of that for you to show you how much wealth of information you can get before even you get married. You will know that in advance, how him and her deal in terms of 4 categories. Assertiveness. What is assertiveness? Very simply, for the sake of time, my ability to ask for what I want and what I need. Stating how I feel, what I want and how I feel. Some people are not able to do that. Some people are not able to share what they feel because they have never been given the opportunity before in the family house, or they've tried and nobody listened to them. So they did not develop the ability to share what I want and what I feel. The other partner will be struggling that I would love to hear what you have in mind. And we don't have a crystal ball in order to guess what she wants. Some people come to marriage and say, no. If she really loves me, she should know by now what I want. Wrong. That's not the right way to do it. Or if he really loves me after 4 or 5 years, we know each other, he should know. No, please don't rely on the crystal ball. I say it, and people will say, oh, but I said it 1,000,000 times. I will say it 1,000,001, 1,000,002, 1,000,003, and keep repeating it. But share with the other what you have and what you feel and what you need. Assertiveness and self-confidence are 2 positive values, 2 positive scales. They are feeding on each other. If I have high self-esteem and high self-confidence, my assertiveness will be high, and vice versa. This couple, I looked at her in blue, beautiful young girl, and she is applying for medical school, successful. Her husband or future husband is also in the medical school, and she has no self-confidence. So I sat with her separately. Tell me what's wrong. She said, Mom passed away when I was young. Dad preferred my sibling, and I don't know if I will be successful in applying to this school or not. Very shaky personality that did not develop her self-image. Let us think about if it's him. He has no self-image, and he thinks that he is the least of all his brothers. And the fiancé will say, I don't know why he looks down at himself. Either one of them, they don't have the enough self-image and strong self-esteem in order to express themselves. And they always think of themselves as less. That will be very hard for somebody with high self-confidence. What I tell people, if you have somebody, your partner, has very low self-esteem, please avoid anything looks like criticism. You have to deal with this partner as if he or she are made of glass. They can break in your hand very easily. If they put themselves in a power to say, I really want this, I really would like us to do that, and you said, no, this is a bad idea, you shut it down very quickly. They will never talk about it again because they have no ability to push for the issues. These two qualities, assertiveness, self-confidence, are positive. But the two other ones, avoidance and partner dominance, are negative, and they will feed on each other. If I shut the idea of my partner who has no self-confidence, they will tend to avoid discussing any problem with me again. They will keep their mouths shut. I cannot really encourage them again to open the same subject or other subject. They will tend to avoid discussing things. They will keep it to themselves. The lack of assertiveness, I have to emphasize, that happens before you meet each other. That's the way you were wired because of many things in your family. This is how you deal with mom and dad and sibling and cousins. You will never be able to say no. And if they are smart at work and they smell that on you, they will say, oh, great, X, Mr. X, that you've done fantastic. Can you take this file and do it in the weekend? Oh, you've done great this weekend. Would you work the following weekend? They will keep demanding from you because you don't have ability to say yes or no. You are, and also some think that if I say no, I'm rocking the boat. I love her so much, I don't want her to get upset. Why should I make her upset? So I will keep it to myself. And that's the worst thing you can do, because you are keep squeezing in yourself like a spring, and then it will explode. And the explosion will look really very bad. I do know, and I share that with many people, I've seen people without saying a word. They kept compressing themselves for several years, and then they opened the door of the marriage and they left and they never came back. They couldn't take it anymore. So you are not helping your marriage or future marriage by not sharing what you feel and what you want. You are really compressing yourself more, and then you can explode. These are examples of real couple, and you see the low self-esteem and how they tend to feel that the partner is dominating my life. Look at this. These two people are very assertive with very low self-confidence, but successfully the answer is perfect picture for avoidance and partner dominance. Here, they are both very low in assertiveness. They don't talk to each other about how they feel. So what will happen? Will avoid, and he is avoiding more because he has very low. The green is he. The green is the man. So he has very little to say about anything. He will tend to avoid every issue, and he will feel that she is choking me. She's controlling my life. She's bossing me around. All of that are studied, and we have the correlation between all these. These are real people, by the way. All these cases are real individuals. Look at this one. Look at the blue. That's her. Lack of assertiveness will result completely on avoidance, and she will feel that he's controlling her life. When I sit with this couple, I say, let me defend him for a while. You are not telling him what you want and what you feel. He is not trying to boss you around. His crime that he has higher self-confidence. His crime that he was taught to say what he wants and what he feels. we give them these relationships and all these results early enough. Sometimes I tell them, cut it and paste it in your mirror in the bathroom so you see it all the time, or in the fridge, so you can always see the relationship and you understand why he or she are behaving in this way. Then we go to very quickly to the couple map, how they feel about the relationship, and anything in the white area is safe and balanced. And they measure it based on the closeness, the horizontal axis, and the flexibility. I will show you very quickly without going through much details. The light gray is off balance, dark spots in the corner are extreme, and we have issue. I have this couple are feeling about themselves, or the relationship with each other, very flexible, very connected. But with their family of origin, it was somewhat flexible, not as flexible as each other, and how they vary between connected or very connected. This one was African-American lady, the blue. As soon as I flipped the page in my office, showing her how she feels about her relationship, maybe with her family, she started pouring tears because she knew her relationship with her family was very, very bad. Just poured tears in the office. This is another couple, and just variation of the balance. He is very connected, or sorry, the blue, she is very connected or overly connected with her family. One story that we had in teaching this course in Florida, I think, the couple decided to take their in-laws with them on the honeymoon. Bad idea. Don't do that, please. 5 years later, I went to Florida, and I've mentioned the same story. I thought that I'm joking. They have separated. They are no longer married. There is no boundary, and we teach about boundary. Once you get married, you have to learn to tell mom and dad, thank you very much. You took me that far. Now I am separate unit, and I can behave in different way. I appreciate your valuable, loving comments, but I have to discuss it with my fiancé or husband, and I have to set boundaries, and that's very difficult with our Egyptian culture or mix. So, or many other culture, frankly, I found it in the Hispanic. It's very hard. And many culture will have the same issue. That's the last segment in this slide. Are we doing okay with time? They show you, you're similar to Myers-Briggs. How are we doing socially? How do we feel about our social life? Have you heard about extrovert and introvert? Extrovert are different people, open to the outside. When they come back from work, they would love to be going out again in order to recharge their battery, even if it's hard working days. The introvert recharges his battery or her battery by sitting alone, getting in the room, maybe opening a book, reading quietly. They don't want even to talk. I have my wife here, and we always laugh about this. I am Egyptian, she's originally American, and she was very introvert, and I'm very extrovert. Nobody taught us that. I wish if somebody was teaching that to us so many years, million years ago when we got married, 38 exactly, but we didn't. We didn't know. So she's with me in Cairo. After we work, what we do? We'll go out. What do you mean that you don't want to go out? Does she love me? She loves me, she loves me not? I didn't know. I have no idea. But this is how they were wired. 38 years later, now I know how we do. So I can go to her and say, I will tell you something, but don't answer it now. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Why? Because introvert has the need for time to think it over. You cannot push an introvert to make a quick decision. Even if it's a small coffee or large coffee, they have to think about it. So they cannot make a quick decision. Also, they are the best listener. And also you can put them on a project and get out of their way. So there are so many advantage and disadvantage. So who does what is very important. Change, the capacity for change. Change in what? Change in role. Who does what? Change in places, change in jobs, change in apartment, change furniture. Some people would love to have change and they have very big capacity for change. Or changing jobs or moving from state to state in United States, that's a big decision. Or leaving the country and moving to another country. So if you have a big difference between the two of them, we will have an issue because each one of them is perceiving things differently. The third one is organization. I want to show you also something called the pleasing, how they are, this couple were very pleasing and caring about others' feelings and wants and needs, which is fantastic characteristic to have, except off balance, they can sacrifice what they want and what they feel in order to please others. What is sacrificing what they want and what they feel? They are giving up their assertiveness. They will not share with you what they want. So we don't want this to happen. Emotional steadiness, very quickly, is the ability to bounce back regardless what life throws at you. Some people go to work and they say, thank you very much, don't come back again, we don't need you at work. So they can go back home and shut the door, eat everything in the fridge, grow a beard, and gain weight, and shut the phone, and so on. Be depressed for months. And the other will feel very bad because it's a bad event, but tomorrow they will polish their resume, shave, and put a suit and tie, and go conquer the world. So who is able to bounce back? This is a very important characteristic. Organization, I just want to show you a different example. Do you see this couple difference in organization? She is very unorganized. He is extremely organized. They will fight every day. For them, organization is not the cleanness of the kitchen, is not that the shoes is 90 degrees, it's not that the dirty clothes in the dirty basket or for the laundry not on the floor. That's all counts. But for them also it means control. Control of time, control of my life. I did not have that chance when I was a child in my parents' house. I was told what to do. But for me now, that's my life, my house, my rules, and I need that control. If she doesn't understand his need for control, this guy who's very high on organization will be mad if he is 5 minutes late for any meeting. And she will try to convince him those are Egyptians, will come late anyway. He will not understand that. That concept does not click with his mind. He is wired to be on time. He wants the control. So you see the variation between pleasing. She is not wired to be a pleaser. Why? What happened to her life? Is she a middle child? And in the States, we call them middle child syndrome. I have ladies to tell me that I have not been seen by my family. I'm not visible. Nobody even feels that I exist. So why should I be pleaser if nobody cares for me? I learned to take care of me, because if I didn't take care of me, nobody else will. So I got stuck here, and I don't care how much you are doing for me in the pleasing area. And from time to time, the guy in green, hi, he will look down and say, for how long I will be doing that to her, and she's not responding. So can you imagine that you learn about your future partner all of this information before we start and before your marriage? That will be a really wealth of information. Look at these social people here. He is an extreme introvert. He will be the kind that after work, he wants to go home, maybe close his room, speak very little words, as much as little as he can, but she wants to go out. These are all true stories, by the way. Both of them are medical doctors, and he said, I went to pick her up from the hospital after 12-hour shift. As soon as she got in the car, she said, hey, what are we going to go, where are we going to go now? What are we going to do? She is ready now, finished work. I want to live. I want to recharge my battery by being around people. For him, very introvert, he wants to go home, sit on the couch, maybe watch TV or not to talk or just read a book. So they are completely different. If we understand why, which that's my focus really in my ministry, is to explain why we have this difference and what fight can happen. Of course, their attachment style, their pleasing capacity, their change. Thank God for organization, they are head-to-head very low. They are both unorganized, but there will be no fight, which is fine for us. That's basically the end of my first presentation. I do have workshops, which I would love, as I told Abuna, if people are interested in this ministry to continue here, we can certify you to use the same software. So you can really give you have the knowledge and you have the ability to register others and so on. So that's one, when I talk about the workshop, and that's the course in Florida. I had people coming from all different ways of life and different churches, different denomination, to take the course to learn how to use the software. So each one of them is a pastor of the church, a different church. This is the Romanian Orthodox Church in Washington, D.C., or in our area in Virginia, which I had courses taught there. Different people, sorry, one more time, it's stuck. Did I get out, George? Yeah, sorry. Last October, maybe 2 years ago, I certified about 7 of our Coptic Orthodox Church priests to use it in Florida. And that was then. And last October, I had the chance to meet His Holiness Pope Tawadros, explain what we do in our ministry. And thank you. This is at least one of the presentation. Abuna, would you like to have a song or finish or whatever you want? Sure. Sure. تفضل.
Jongens, aandacht. Deze QR-code is zodat je vraag kan stellen anoniem. De link wordt ook gestuurd in de chat en in de livestream chat en in de groep. Of je kan de QR scannen. Ja, ternemen.
Voor de mensen die geen vraag stellen, gaan we gezamenlijk het Tanima zingen. امسك يا ربي ايدي زي بطرس زمان لما قرب يغرق مسكت ايدي بحنان ورفعته وسط الموج واديته سلام وامان ورفعته وسط الموج واديته سلام وامان وانا زيه يا ربي امسك ايدي كمان وانا زيه يا ربي امسك ايدي كمان الموج عليا عالي يخطف قلبي مني وريح يا رب شديدة وخايف نفسي تخني والمركب طالع نازل وصخور بتحطمني والمركب طالع نازل وصخور بتحطمني قول للموج يهدى وفي صدرك احضني قول للموج يهدى وفي صدرك احضني ادخل يا رب سفينتي املك حياتي كمان اطرد مني الخوف تاوي كل الآلام اسكن جوا قلبي واملا بالسلام اسكن جوا قلبي واملا بالسلام أبدا ما تسيبني لوحدي أمشي وسط الأيام أبدا ما تسيبني لوحدي أمشي وسط الأيام إيماني يا رب ضعيف شتتني في الإيمان وإن يوم أنا شاكت فيك أو تهت في أي مكان ده أنت يا رب أبويا قلبك كله حنان ده أنت يا رب أبويا قلبك كله حنان رجعني تاني ليك أعيش طول الزمان رجعني تاني ليك أعيش طول الزمان وفي الأبدية يا ربي أتمنى أكون معاك جهز لي هناك مكان علشان أكون وياك مهما كانت ضعفاتي ما لي يا رب سواك كانت ضعفاتي ما لي يا رب سواك انت تستر عليا وتفرحني برؤياك انت تستر عليا وتفرحني برؤياك
Martin,
Few questions. Sure. Sure.
So this is like the first question. How can we get over issues between both our families and establish a healthy relationship?
But I just need like clarification. Are you talking about the two family of origin disagreeing about the marriage and they need to establish, or what do you mean by the two families? I don't know who asked the question. Can you clarify it?
Maybe we can get in another anonymous question to clarify.
Sure.
So, do you have to match all the characteristics for a successful marriage?
What we are trying, by the way, when we do this assessment, we never tell people to go apart or you are going to fail. The goal here really is to know the differences and to expect that this will be area of conflict. We have no fear of conflict happening in marriage, because I have bad news for you that this is the norm. The norm is to have conflicts, not to have continuous fight. The skill is to how to solve these issues. So we have no problem at all of the fact that there will be differences in our life. Do you know why? Why it is normal to have fight in marriage? Fight or disagreement, let us say disagreement. Why it's normal? So many reasons, and that's part of the lecture I promised about communication. Difference in gender. Like she is a woman and you are a man, there will be difference regardless what happens. True, after we kneel here before the altar and Abuna opened the sitr and we get out of the church after the wedding, we become one flesh. Yet, we are still two different people, two different likes and dislikes, two different habits, two different preference, two different perception. And the woman is different than the man in the way of thinking. We have a very famous researcher, his name is Gottman. Gottman said people talk about marriage and family based on the social arena, based on observation. But I am the one who wires them, and they take blood pressure and send samples to the lab to analyze their blood during their anger issues, and put me with any couple for 5 minutes, and I will predict if they will fail or succeed by 90% success. That sounded like too arrogant to our Coptic Orthodox taste, but the guy is a very famous researcher. And he came with difference in between man and woman in the role, who does what, difference between the two, the man and the woman, in the desire to sexuality and the sexual satisfaction, difference between men and women in their perception, what they perceive. So there are things different due to the gender. By the way, you have to understand also, like, women are wired better than men in highly stressful situation. You cannot go to a man and say, tell me now what's wrong. Hitting the table, telling me now what's wrong. I need to know now. Talk to me now. He cannot. It's not that he doesn't want. Please understand that he cannot. He is not as well wired to highly stressful situation as you are. The man will go to what we call it, he will go to his cave. And that's part of your communication skill, that you have to understand that he needs time to put his thoughts and his feeling back together to be able to talk about it. And the woman has to understand that she can still be around, but don't open the subject until he is ready to talk about it. I coined this statement that I'm going to make. I said, okay, Mr. X, we understand that you are a man, you need to go to your cave, but don't do that typical mistake by staying in your cave for weeks and months. It's okay to go to your cave for a short period, and it's okay to give her the key to your cave. I still love her, she's my wife, or she's my fiancée. She can come to the cave and sit next to me, but not open the subject until I'm ready. The men always in communication, they have a big mistake that they fail to understand that she feels connected to you when she talks in your presence, sharing her thoughts. When she shares her thoughts in your presence, she's more connected to you. Some men will say, yeah, but what she talks about it is very silly topics. Who should you expect her to go to if you don't listen to her? Whether it's silly for you, but important for her, please listen to her. Allow her to talk in your presence. She will get more connected to you. Did I go very far from the question? Can you repeat again?
I think the question was along the lines of, do you have to match all the characteristics for a successful marriage?
To match for all the aspects. We cannot really match in all aspects, but we understand. For example, introvert and extrovert, that's a good example. That's some of these things are hereditary, inherited. You did not make it, you did not select it, you did not choose it. So we cannot. But as I gave you the example, but even between me and my wife, I understand how she thinks and when she needs to be quiet and when I have to be quiet because she has to think it over. Extrovert, they talk when they think. So when we are doing our taxes, for example, what if we do this, what if we do that? She says, you are confusing me. I cannot take it. I have to think on one thing. Once I am done, I will move to the other thing. So those are examples for no. The answer is no, we cannot match in all aspects before we get married, but we should learn more about each other, about myself first, and about the other, and where is the differences are, and how can we deal with these differences. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. The next question, there is a fine line between the grass being greener on the other side and settling and accepting the flaws of a potential partner. When do I stop looking for better?
That's really a very tough question. But what I would love to say, it seems we need to know ourselves more. We need to know the flaws in ourselves also. If you look at it as flaws, if you look at it as differences, and that's a different way to look at it. We are different, and differences is not wrong. We are different in certain things, but difference is not wrong. We might be complementing each other. On a spiritual level, we say maybe God uses that person with the differences in him or her to smooth the sharp edges in me. Maybe I have to learn more patience. Maybe I have to learn to listen more. Maybe I have to learn certain things. If you see differences, but you don't see complete conflict or unresolved issues, we will never solve this issue. No, we will. We will if we learn how to solve it clearly. One more time, because I promised communication. I'll give you a very simple example that we do by mistake all the time. Logic, and emotion. That's an example of how you deal with issues. Let us say that your fiancé or wife came and said, I just got off the phone with my sister. She lives in California, and they are making family reunion, and everybody from Egypt and Europe are going to California. And we will be excited. We'll see people we haven't seen for 10 years. is her message logic or emotion? Sorry? Emotional. What if you say, no, but we don't have money for that? That's a logic, correct? You cannot respond to emotion with logic or to logic with emotion. But what if it's true that we don't have money? How can we answer it better? How can we tell her, how can we respond to her emotional message? First of all, I can see that as flaw in her. How come she doesn't see that we don't have money for that? And how dumb that, and how stupid that, and where I can see flaws. Or I can see that her message is emotional message. How can I respond to this emotional message? I will say, honey, what a fantastic idea. We will get to see all this family, we will get to see these people, and we will be excited. And do you mind if we sit tomorrow and think about how we'll come up with the budget for that trip? So I meet the emotional with emotion, and then I can introduce the aspects of logic.
Thank you.
One more.
One more question. I think we're running out of time. I see the most upvoted question. I'm not sure if we can show it on the screen as well. But the question here reads...
Martin, can I stop you for 1 second? If you will keep looking for the perfect wife or the perfect, or if whatever, the perfect husband, one more time, that's a myth. Tell me who is the perfect wife and who is the perfect husband. How can you define that? I tell them in America, if she is Miss America, next year there will be another Miss America. So what are you going to do? Every year they have a different person. If he is the one who will take me on a white horse and fly away, and the dreamers, so there is no perfection. But do we have enough compatibility and love? Otherwise, you'll keep searching for untouchable image, and you will never reach satisfaction. That's completely unfair to the other partner. If you are not convinced that he or she are the person, don't waste their time, and you need really to deal with yourself of what is it that you want. Sorry, Martin.
Okay, sorry. The question I have here is, how to know you are ready for relationships? What are some steps to get better?
What?
How to know when you are ready for a relationship, and what kind of steps can you take to get better?
What is accepting the steps to get better? Yeah. Some steps is what we go through. If you go through this assessment, you will know, first of all, how to communicate. You will learn about how to solve issues if we got in a conflict. If there is something that we've talked about multiple times and we never agreed, her mom has to come and live with us because we have to take care of her mom. She cannot live by herself. Can we find a solution for that? By the way, this is a real situation. The 21 years couple came because he insisted on having his mother to live with them. But he also insisted not to buy a bigger house. In America, that's not a big deal. Like, you can buy a bigger house. And they kept going back and forth with solution. So one more time, you learn some skills, how to communicate, how to solve your conflict, how to accept her needs. Whenever there is unmet needs, there will be a conflict in marriage. And the needs, there is a person called Abraham Maslow. I don't know how many people heard Abraham Maslow and the pyramids of needs. And he starts saying, okay, our basic needs is physiological, and then we have need for self-esteem, and we need to have need all the way up to self-actualization. Every time there is a need that's not met, there will be a conflict. So you'll learn that, and you'll try to solve this unmet need. When I show you the difference between their need for organization and control, and if he or she dismisses that as a need, there will be a conflict. If he or she understands that he has a need to control time, he has a need to control budget, he has a need to control schedule, he has a need to control the cleanness, that's not a spoiled person, that's a person in having an unmet need. If he is introvert or extrovert and he has a need to be quiet for a while and I don't meet the need, there will be a conflict. If he is an extrovert and he has a need to go out and I don't go out at all with him or with her, there will be a conflict. So keep in mind that unmet need will always be a source of conflict. How to solve all of these things will be the skills that we are hoping for. Steps to get better, that's why I really feel we have to start, like when I get a call, somebody will say, we are getting married next Sunday and Abuna told us that you have to take the course now. That's a nightmare for me, because when would you have a chance to apply everything you learned? Take the time of the course in Mashura or the educational portion that you take it seriously and try to give yourself time to apply it. The assessment online is another tool. I hope that you can guys use it here because it will give you reasons for why people behave this way. Don't forget other aspects, and I don't try to make it dark or conflicting. Other aspects is their attachment to their family. And is he mom's son? He cannot make any decision until mom tells him what to do or not? Or is she calling her mom every night and gives her a report about what happens even in the bedroom? That's also not acceptable. So where we do that? What about if he or she has mental health issue or their parents have a mental health issue? Some of the mental health issues are hereditary. They will be inherited. And people say, oh, no, we talked about it. No, when you come to schizophrenia and somebody has it from the parents, that's an issue. Let me add another difficult layer. What if he or she came from a family where addicted to alcohol, for example, or any kind of addiction? That will affect the person. And just recently in my life, in the States, I found that they have associations for people who have parents addicted. Those people don't have a problem with alcohol, but their parents used to have. And what we found that they start feeling the effect of that at age 40. And they suffer from it. And they cannot trust other people because of that. So these are all different layers to find the perfect person or to find the perfect steps. So the steps: learn more and understand that there is need. And if you don't meet the need, regardless what you do, there is a missing need. When a father say, I put a food on the table and roof above their head, what else do you want from me? I said, all the pyramids of Abraham Maslow. They need to feel that they belong. They need to feel respected. They need to feel self-actualized and achieving what they have. So give yourself time to learn. Take the training carefully. Apply these steps together. Because now we are a couple and we need to learn where the source of issues and how we solve it.
Do we have time for one more question?
One more question.
I have one question that is...
Abuna decide the time. So.
I think he said okay. Here's a question that goes like this. How do you find a godly woman in a world where they are distracted by many options and can't stick to one man and be loyal without playing around? And by the same token, someone also asked the question, how do you find a godly man in a world where they are distracted by many options and can't stick to one girl and be loyal?
How to find the perfect man? Can I see it?
How do I find a good godly woman or a good godly man?
Yeah. Sorry. All right. True godly woman and true godly man. You are opening another big area that I always press so hard. Our spirituality and our level of spirituality cannot be imposed on the other person. Abuna here has few hundreds of you. He hears confession from few hundreds of you. Abuna cannot impose one rule to all the few hundreds here. Every person is individual and every person has capacity different. How can you define if he or she is godly person? Do they have a relationship with God? But the relationship with God, the important point here, please hear this one, doesn't have to look like mine. I can find God in the liturgy. He or she can find God in an orphanage where he will help an orphan child. He or she can find God in visiting a sick person. He or she can find God in prayers with Agbeya. But he or she can find God in solitude. That's why we have monks in the monastery, but not all of us are monks or nuns. So we do have different call and different spiritual level. We say that Christ is the way, but there are so many ways to the way. But he is the way. He is the only way. So, but he or she does not have to reach Christ the way I reach Christ. That's I think, my main point, because when we judge godly person, is the godly person who attends 7 liturgies per week, or 1 liturgy, or 2 liturgies? Is he or she who goes to confession every month or every week? Is he the one who reads books or fasts all the fasts? By the way, if you have mixed marriages, would you apply your rules that you lived all your life, easy application, like we are used to fast for a long time? Would he or she have to fast the same amount when it's not really something that he never had the same training? So what is our criteria of a godly person? The godly person knows Christ, has a relationship with Christ. He or she can tell me and invite me about his experience with God. But I cannot apply one rule to everybody. I hope I answered the question. Abuna, we would like to answer this question. Help.
You sent an unexpected number of questions, and it took a whole day to answer this question. I promise you to send this for Abuna Yassa, to answer this for you later.
Please.
Okay. At the end of this wonderful day, I would like to thank Mr. Magdy for his love and beautiful words for us,
Thanks.
from which we learned a lot. And we hope to see you always in Netherlands.
Thank you.
And we pray that God will give you health and strength to serve all.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks.
you. هتفضلوا زي ما انتوا، هنعمل خروج فوتو وبعدين هنصلي. ما بتعرفوا عربي مغلبيننا ليه من الصبح؟
Zou iedereen die aan de zijkant zit naar het midden willen komen, alsjeblieft? Zou iedereen ook hier aan de zijkant naar het midden willen komen? Ja.